If you've been anywhere on Twitter or Tumblr, then you know Miss Juicy, from her iconic reactions to the legendary memes. She's no doubt the undisputed queen of Atlanta, both on and off screen. But behind the laughs and viral moments, things have taken a rather heartbreaking turn. Just recently, Miss Juicy broke down in tears, and no, this wasn't part of a scripted TV moment. This was the realest, the rawest, and the most emotional that people had seen her. So what happened? Was it a drama from her reality show? A behind-the-scenes betrayal? Or was something much more personal going on? Don't go anywhere, because we're about to dive into some real-deal reality TV drama that you won't want to miss. Miss Juicy's childhood. When we hear reality TV, we know what's coming. Drama, deep-seated resentments, and, yeah, maybe even the occasional physical altercation. And honestly, that's what happens when you've got many big personalities in one space for way too long. It's no that secret. Little Women, Atlanta had its fair share of jaw-dropping moments, and even the queen herself, Miss Juicy, found herself in some wild drama on that set. But one feud, one moment, it hit different. It cut deep, and it left a hole in Miss Juicy's heart that she just couldn't ignore. In a rare emotional moment, Miss Juicy opened up, and what she confessed? Man, it shook everyone. But before we get into that, let's take a moment. Let's go way back and remember the woman before the memes, the shouting matches, and the viral gifs. Meet Shirlene King Pearson, also known as Sweet and Low. And trust me, she packs plenty of power. Born in Corsicana, Texas, and standing barely 4 feet tall, Shirlene was never your typical girl next door. She's always stood out, and not just for her size. With a talent range as wide as the stage itself, Shirlene became an unstoppable force in the entertainment world. She went to Corsicana High School, then Navarro Junior College. But she didn't stop there. She earned a bachelor's in computer information systems from DeVry Institute of Technology. And while she was there, she dove into voice, choir, theater, photography, business, you name it. But Shirlene didn't just survive challenges, she turned them into opportunities. And that mindset made her dangerous in the best way. By the age of 10, Shirlene was already in the spotlight, public speaking, acting, singing, and commanding a room like she was born to do it. She got her acting break with playwright and producer Mr. Shelley Garrett, where she starred in stage hits like You Gonna Make Me Love Somebody Else and Doing the Right Thing with the Wrong Man. But her talent didn't stop there. If anything, it just began. She even starred as the mayor in Fred Hammond's film Christmas, Who Needs It? And then came the leading role in the world-renowned stage play Beauty Shop. From stage to radio, Ms. Juicy made waves. She joined the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, quickly becoming a fan favorite with her bold personality and that unmistakable voice. Since moving to Atlanta, she's racked up even more credits, like roles in Meet the Browns, Tyler Perry's Medea's Big Happy Family, and multiple stage productions. Playwright T.Y. Martin even challenged her to take on dual roles in Lord, Why Me? And of course, she nailed it. But her life was not without its fair share of obstacles. Obstacles Miss Juicy faced growing up. Growing up, Juicy dealt with challenges as a little person. But her parents didn't let her fall into self-pity. I had good home training, she said. Her mom would give her those tough love pep talks. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. Let that be a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. Even if you don't want to do it anyway to prove them wrong. As a teen, Miss Juicy studied journalism and spent her summers snapping photos at local sports games for the town newspaper. I didn't just want to work in the paper, Juicy said. I took sports pictures because I wanted to be around all of the men. She also stayed active in church with her mom, even teaching Bible lessons to the younger kids. Sure, she broke curfew a few times like any other teenager, but school and work came first. Even as a young adult, Juicy's confidence shocked people. One day, someone told Juicy that she could never drive a bus, so she decided to become a local bus driver to piss the person off. Juicy studied for a year and a half, passed with a perfect score, and then worked as a bus driver. But aside from being a goal-getter and a star, Juicy is also a pillar in her community. Every year, Ms. Juicy throws her back-to-school event, Shorties Run the Runway, for kids ages 3 to 18. And this event is all about empowerment, boosting self-esteem, getting them hyped for the school year. But much more than that, it's about showing them they can own any runway. The event brings in live performances and fashion previews and gives the kids a platform to shine. So yeah, she's more than the Queen of Atlanta. She's a legacy in motion. But even the strongest queens feel pain, and when a certain feud really hit home, Ms. Juicy could no longer keep it bottled up. She broke down, she confessed, and what she revealed? It left fans speechless. Keep watching to find out more. How Miss Juicy became the Queen of Atlanta. Let's get one thing straight. Miss Juicy is the Queen of Atlanta not just because she says it, but because she lives it. Whether she's tossing drinks or dropping truth bombs, one thing's for sure. She's always going to remind you, I'm the Queen of Atlanta, boo. And honestly, who are we to argue? As Juicy famously once said, I'm the queen of any city I go to. You can try to duplicate me, but I can't be duplicated because I got my all together. I'm well put together, body, mind, and soul. But keeping it real like that, it doesn't come without some backlash. Her honesty has sparked more than a few blow-ups, especially on Little Women, Atlanta. One of the biggest backlash came from misunderstanding with Minnie. The feud kicked off when Juicy called Minnie out for allegedly faking a relationship with Atlanta rapper Pastor Troy. Yeah, you heard that right. Juicy didn't mince words when she said, when you're trying to make someone believe something, you can't be messy. So Minnie claimed she was pregnant by Pastor Troy. But Juicy, she wasn't buying it. In fact, she doubled down, accusing Minnie of using the story to boost her clout. When asked if she ever considered Minnie a friend, Juicy gave that classic sweet tea with a splash of shade reply, "We're cordial." Despite all the tension, Juicy doesn't think she's messy. In her eyes, she's just a truth teller with no patience for BS. Like she said, she calls it how she sees it. But more on the feud later on in the video. Long before the radio, or reality fame, Juicy already had a story worth telling. Her big break came in the late 90s after a night out dancing in Dallas. She was at a club for a friend's birthday when she caught the eye of Shelley Garrett, known as the godfather of urban theater. The club owner told him Juicy was the kind of person who meets no stranger. Garrett asked if she'd ever acted. She said yes, in church plays. Garrett invited her to audition for a touring revival of Beauty Shop. She nailed it, and the audiences they loved her. Garrett ended up casting her in 6 more productions, and Juicy's energy was unmatched. It was during one of those plays that radio host Ricky Smiley saw her perform. He was hooked. He told a co-star he had to meet her, but it took 2 years before Juicy finally agreed to meet. When they finally met at the station, it clicked, and she has been a co-host on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show ever since. Well, until her stroke. So yeah, Juicy earned her crown. She didn't just show up and claim it, she put in the work. You can't miss Juicy. From her bold fashion to her signature burgundy hair, everything she wears is, as she says, juicified. It means fun, exciting, and comfortable, but always cute, not slouchy, she explains. You want to be comfortable and still rock the house and make heads turn when you walk through the door. Her voice? Instantly recognizable. Once you meet me, you can't forget me, Juicy says. And she's right. In Atlanta, she's more than a radio star. She's a force. She's up at 5 a.m. hosting live radio, off to events, running her businesses. She is the brand. And yes, that confidence, it goes everywhere with her. Men are attracted to Little Women because we are small, she says. And they always say good things come in small packages. But beyond the spotlight, Juicy stays grounded in what matters, her community. Every fall, she hosts Shorties Run the Runway, a back-to-school fashion show for kids. It's not about outfits. It's about confidence, about showing kids they belong. "I'm always out in the community doing things," she says, and she doesn't play about the rules. One big one? No backstage moms. Parents are not allowed backstage, she says. "I need you to be cheering them on." To Juicy, school isn't optional. It's everything. "Most people here in Atlanta want to be rappers or whatever," she says. "You don't even know how to count your money? You need math. You have to be able to read. You need to read those contracts. Everything." And she uses her platform to teach. She's spoken up about political issues, praised President Obama, and raised awareness for things like the Flint water crisis. Even when she holds back, you feel it. And when she speaks, everyone listens. Why? Because Miss Juicy doesn't just talk the talk, she walks it, heels on, head high, all juicy-fied. Clashes on set. Now, if there's one feud that shook Little Women, Atlanta to its core, it was the blow-up between Miss Juicy and Miss Minnie. And let's be clear, it wasn't your usual side eyes and slick comments. This feud was personal, loud, and messy in that way only reality TV legends can deliver. So, where did it all start? The spark that lit the fire was Minnie's claim that she was pregnant, and that the baby's father was none other than Atlanta rapper Pastor Troy. Yes, you heard that right. But Juicy? She wasn't having it. She called it what she believed it was, a straight-up lie. And she didn't just mutter it behind the scenes or behind Minnie's back. She said it loud and clear, right on camera. Now, here's the thing. Juicy calling Minnie out wasn't just because of some speculations from the sidelines. It was, in fact, because she knew both Minnie and Pastor Troy a little too well. They weren't merely acquaintances. Juicy was real tight with Pastor Troy. She and him go way back, and she had also known Minnie for even longer. So when Minnie popped out on TV claiming this months-long secret romance, Juicy was like, "Wait, what? That's not possible." Juicy wasn't trying to be messy, not at first. She actually tried to handle it privately. She called Minnie more than once. She wanted to talk woman to woman. But Minnie stopped answering her calls. She completely went ghost. And that's when things shifted. Juicy felt like she had no choice but to speak up publicly. So she did, and she didn't sugarcoat a thing. "She's lying," Juicy said. And that statement? It set off one of the most explosive moments in Little Women. Atlanta history. In episode 2, tensions erupted into a full-on shouting match. Viewers were glued to the screen. And for Juicy, the whole thing was deeply frustrating because to her, it wasn't about stirring drama. It was about protecting the truth. Word had already gotten back to Juicy that Minnie was going around telling folks she had a famous rapper boyfriend. And when Juicy found out the name was Pastor Troy, she laughed out loud. "No," she said, "that girl lies." From Juicy's perspective, Minnie was a fan, always had been. Sure, she knew Troy. She supported his music. They may have exchanged a few texts, maybe even hung out here and there. But dating for 8 months? Juicy wasn't buying it for a second. "She's been knowing him for over 10 years, Juicy said. "She follows his career. She follows everything." But that wasn't a relationship. That was admiration. Fan energy. Nothing romantic about it. And while Juicy knew not everyone would like what she had to say, she didn't care. She wasn't about to let someone twist the truth on national TV just to get a storyline. When Minnie accused her of being jealous, that's when Juicy had to laugh again. Jealous? Of what? "How am I going to be jealous of you?" Juicy said. "You're the one who reached out to me." Juicy had built her name from the ground up. She had her own car, her own home, her own checks with her name on them. She wasn't living off anyone else's shine. She had already earned her place and her mic. She wasn't chasing clout. She wasn't chasing cameras. She was the brand. And let's not forget, she actually tried to help Minnie. She'd reached out like a real friend. But when Minnie stopped answering her calls, Juicy had no choice but to take it to the one place she still had a voice. The show. She wasn't trying to shame Minnie. She wasn't trying to drag her. She just didn't want her lying to the audience to look good. "You don't have to do that to fit in," Juicy said. But Minnie didn't want to talk. She didn't want to clear the air. So Juicy let the truth spill in front of everyone. Then came the bombshell, the alleged pregnancy. Juicy didn't flinch. She'd heard it all before, and she didn't believe it then either. Not one bit. "To me, it's still a lie," she said. "People can believe whatever they want to believe, but I know reality." Sure, she wasn't in the room when it all went down, but she knew Pastor Troy. She knew his vibe. She knew his personality. And from where she stood, he wasn't the father. Because he wasn't even the boyfriend. All those cute little flirty moments on Instagram, the comments, the photos, Juicy saw them for what they really were. Troy being playful, not proof of a relationship, not love, just clout chasing dressed up as something more. And for Juicy, that's where the line got drawn. She'll play the game, but she won't fake the truth. She'd heard it all before. "Juicy, you're just hating." Juicy let it go. But Juicy doesn't let lies live. Not when her name's involved. Not when her city's watching. So when Minnie claimed she was pregnant by Pastor Troy, Juicy didn't blink. She didn't hesitate. "She's lying," she said, plain and simple. "I don't even think she's pregnant. And even if she was?" Juicy wasn't buying that Troy had anything to do with it, because for Juicy, this was never about shaming anyone. It was about one thing and one thing only: the truth. And whether folks liked it or not, she wasn't going to let false narratives fly unchecked. "Come on, boo," she said. "Let's not play." Juicy didn't bite her tongue, and she didn't sugarcoat. Her relationship with Minnie? It was over. Not cold, not complicated, just done. And that wasn't always the case. During filming, things had started to thaw, just a little. There were quiet moments of respect, cautious steps towards something like a truce. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Until the pregnancy claim changed everything. Juicy didn't hear it from Minnie. She heard it the same way the audience did, through whispers and wide eyes. No call, no text, just a rumor dropped like a bomb. And her gut? It told her something wasn't right. So she did what real ones do. She reached out to talk, to get clarity. But all she got back was silence, denial, and a story that kept shifting. That's when the frustration came back full force. Because just when she was ready to move forward, here came another lie, too big to ignore. She'd already tried the high road. She'd already tried to handle things behind the scenes. But when that didn't work, she did what Juicy always does, spoke her truth on full display. This wasn't about drama for the camera. This wasn't about one-upping Minnie. It was about accountability. And Juicy wasn't going to apologize for calling out a story that didn't add up. "She's a beautiful young lady," Juicy said. "She doesn't have to lie to fit in." That right there, that was the whole point. Juicy wasn't trying to tear anyone down. She was trying to save someone from a decision they couldn't undo. Because once a lie is out there, especially one that big, you can't pull it back. And Juicy knew the power of reality TV. She knew what happened when the cameras caught the wrong story. She'd seen it before, people lying for attention, building a fantasy because it felt better than facing the truth. But that's never been Juicy's way. "I didn't want her to regret it later," Juicy said. "I didn't want her to wake up, hear it back, and wish she'd never said it." To Juicy, this whole thing didn't start with gossip blogs or messy producers. It started with Minnie. She was the one who said she was dating Pastor Troy. She was the one who said she was pregnant. Juicy was just trying to keep it real. She wasn't stirring the pot, she was pulling the curtain back. And by the time the news hit the streets, whatever friendship they had was already hanging by a thread. After the lie, there wasn't much left to save. When people asked Juicy if they could ever repair the relationship, her answer was blunt. "Stop lying," she said. "That's it. That's the only path back. Because without truth, there's no trust. And without trust, there's nothing." Juicy had done her part. She called. She asked. She gave Minnie space to come clean. But when all she got was more confusion, She stepped back. "It's not about the cameras," she said. "It's about the truth." And Juicy couldn't understand it. There was no gain in the lie, no spotlight worth that kind of fallout. "What is she going to do in 9 months?" Juicy asked. "What's the plan then?" This wasn't just petty. It was dangerous, because people were watching. Young women who looked up to them, who wanted to see strength and sisterhood, not stunts and spirals. "You're not looking at the big picture," she said. "You're living in the moment, and that moment's going to pass." What broke Juicy the most wasn't the lie itself, it was the missed opportunity. The chance for Minnie to be real, to own her story, even if it was messy. Instead, she reached for a fantasy. And Juicy? She refused to co-sign. Because for Juicy, this was never about being liked. It was never about playing the bigger person. It was about standing on something real. Something that couldn't be shaken when the cameras stopped rolling. When Juicy stands for something, she stands all the way. And if that makes her the villain in someone else's fairy tale, so be it. Mending broken relationships. 4. It's no secret that the women of Little Women, Atlanta can flip a table, toss a drink, or sling a side-eye faster than you can say, "Cut the cameras." Drama has never been in short supply, and neither has heart. But when it came to Ms. Juicy Baby, fists weren't her weapon of choice. Her power came from her words, delivered with precision, sass, and absolutely zero hesitation. And if anyone felt the sharpest edge of her words, it was Ashley Minnie Ross. Juicy had a habit of calling Minnie out, especially when it came to what she saw as half-truths. One point of contention? Minnie's sudden pivot toward radio. Juicy had always worked in broadcasting. She'd earned her stripes. So when Minnie, who came from the world of beauty and cosmetology, started dipping into the mic life, Juicy didn't buy it. She didn't hesitate to suggest that Minnie was following her footsteps a little too closely. But then the story took a devastating turn. In the spring of 2020, Minnie tragically passed away in a car crash. It sent shock through the cast, the fans, and the wider Little Women family. In the season trailer, viewers got a glimpse of Juicy's grief when she said she wouldn't have anyone to argue with anymore. It was a rare moment of raw honesty that showed audiences just how deep their connection truly ran. Messy, complicated, but undeniably real. In an interview with The Neighborhood Talk, Ms. Juicy opened up about that relationship. She said that losing Minnie during the pandemic had been incredibly hard, not just emotionally but logistically, as they were still expected to film the show. She explained that despite what viewers may have seen, she and Minnie had been friends in real life. The drama on screen, she said, didn't always reflect the depth of their off-camera bond. She acknowledged that people only saw the fighting and the friction, but, as she put it, they had their ups and downs just like anyone else. She emphasized that what they did on the show was part of the job. It was entertainment, but never meant to compromise their integrity. According to Juicy, they both knew what it was at the end of the day. She explained that there were times when they had to show their true feelings because no real friendship is perfect. They didn't always get along, but beneath it all, they were close. Juicy insisted they had been cool and had shared a genuine closeness outside of filming. As for the broader cast, Juicy said the other girls had also grown over time. They'd learned how to separate their personal lives from the reality show format. She pointed out that many people assumed that because they were Little Women, they didn't deal with the same issues as everyone else. But she made it clear they absolutely did. Surviving stroke. Ms. Juicy Baby has always been known for speaking her mind. Whether on reality TV or on the radio, she's never had a problem telling it like it is. And while she's only 4 feet tall, she's made a name for herself that's much bigger than her size. Fans know her for her quick comebacks, sharp humor, and confidence. She's spent years encouraging people to love themselves as they are. But in May 2022, her fans were hit with some unexpected news. Ms. Juicy was in the ICU. A post from her management team on Instagram let people know she was dealing with a serious health issue. At the time, they didn't give many details, just that her family was asking for prayers and privacy. Later, her sister, Tanya King Evans, shared that Juicy had suffered a stroke on April 28th. She didn't say what caused it, but the stroke had clearly been serious. Juicy had been quiet on social media, and when fans started asking where she was, that's when the family spoke up. She was in the ICU for about a month before being released on May 28th. The next day, Juicy posted a video update to let everyone know how she was doing. She said she was still in recovery and learning how to do basic things again. It was clear that the stroke had really affected her, but she was focused on getting better. Ms. Juicy has always kept her personal life pretty private. She once mentioned she had been married for 15 years, but the relationship ended in divorce. She's never talked much about whether or not she has children, and as of 2025, she's single and still living in Atlanta. Before becoming a familiar face on TV, she had already worked a wide range of jobs. She's been a bus driver, a stage actress, a radio host, a talent manager, and a producer. She's done a lot, and she's made a steady career for herself. By 2023, her net worth was estimated at $2 million. Still, when the stroke happened, things changed fast. Her sister created a GoFundMe page to help cover her medical bills and day-to-day expenses while she recovered. The goal was $25,000, and they raised a little over $19,000. The fundraiser was proof that many people cared and were willing to show up for her. Now, Ms. Juicy is taking things one step at a time. Recovery hasn't been easy, but she's still here, and she's still herself. Honest, funny, strong, and not afraid to speak up when it matters. What do you think about Ms. Juicy ? Have you seen any show she has been in? And most importantly, do you think she was right to call out Minnie? Share your thoughts with us in the comments down below. Furthermore, click on the next video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.